where am I? That's no point. I don't know, I have no idea, so. I don't even care. That's the beauty of it. The beauty of it, when I leave Toronto, this will be totally forgotten. If you're truly present, you don't have memory of things, really. You know, I'll know I was here, but you can't do what happens here justice.
Well, AA says.
You just can't.
It says that, because I've gone to AA, it says that, you know, at some turning point in your life, when your life is totally unmanageable and sickness or whatever, something really devastating happens to you, that'll be a turning point.
See, that wasn't for me. For me, I had had all the bottoms, and they weren't sufficient to stop me. It was like a divine download. It was just a regular day at the office. I had accepted my lot, I really had. I was just trying to drink and stay unconscious until the next time I went to jail or died, or went to another institution. So I'd given up all hope. Yeah, I didn't, a lot of people get that. It's a turning point or a bottom that does it, but it wasn't for me. It was a different experience. I really was. It was just a regular day at the office. I was just drinking that vodka with the hope someone would come to that trail with some money and we'd cop some drugs. That was my plan for the day. And I didn't know where I was going to stay. I wasn't thinking that far ahead. I was just surviving. And yet something interrupted that and had a different plan. Yeah? It's so beautiful, really. I mean, so beautiful because when you're convinced, when you believe with certainty, it really produces a large foundation so life can really, a large life can be built on it. Yeah. You won't destroy it or blow it up. You'll let it's sort of like being on an operating table that you never get up from. Yeah? As long as you don't take yourself to be the doctor, you're fine. Just stay as a patient. Life's working on you. Yes, things are moving through. You're being used unbelievably. It's unbelievable what they say in AA. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable somebody who did what I did, supposedly, and lived like I lived, gets to be used this way. It's fucking mind-boggling to me. It really is. Yeah? That some of the worst things I ever did that I thought had no value became my most valuable asset when I work with other people in the same dilemma I'm in. This is like, life is the greatest recycler if you surrender. Yeah, what you think has no value will be put to great use. It's freaking unbelievable. Yeah. We're looking at things seriously. I was looking at things from a very small point of view, a very claustrophobic point of view, an extreme self-centeredness. Yeah? It was suffocating. That aperture opened up, and now the possibility that there's no end to it. It just opens up, opens up, opens up, opens up, opens up, opens up. Yeah. And then what wasn't available becomes available because you're seeing now. Yeah. You're not in line. My day isn't navigated by my thoughts. I can't say what the navigation is. I don't care. I feel the navigation and I know it's so. And I know it's trusted, it's reliable, and that's all I need. Yeah? Full speed ahead. I'm not looking back on a sideway. No, it's fine. It's convinced me. It's demonstrated enough.
I think that when you can see that I think for me, my past thoughts dominate my day. I'm so wrapped up in what had happened in certain relationships and everything, and I'm so dominated, I'm so obsessed, so angry, that I can't be happy right now. How do I get to be happy right now? To let that go. I'm afraid to let go of that past.
Well, you know, that feeling of I'm afraid to let go of that past, you're not that I. That's afraid to let go. You're not the I that's afraid to let go. That's a thought, yeah? You're prior to the thought system. That's the only way it can be let go. You can't let go a thought from a thought. It's just a part of the chain of thoughts, yeah? There's no solution to a mental problem from the mentality that's producing it. The feeling of the I, that feeling of being you, the thinker, is a thought, yeah? So the thought can't let go of a thought. But what you are can let go of the thought, and where you let go of it is at the thinker point. Question, are you actually the thinker? If you're not the thinker, you'll lose interest in it. You'll lose interest in that thought that you're the thinker, and therefore you'll lose interest in the whole system of thought. But what's fueling the system, doesn't have a real energy of its own, it's your interest and attention. That's being given over to it because of your relation to it as the thinker.
Yeah.
Yes, just like all your actions, or is you're in relationship to all the actions as the doer, you're in relationship to all the thoughts as the thinker. You go to the thinker, yes, just ask yourself, am I the thinker? Just see what happens. If they're not about you, or if they're, what I sort it is in two ways. They're held either two ways. Either I'm the thinker of the thoughts, or they're about me. Yes, either I'm the object of the thought or the subject of the thoughts. I'm either the thinker or what they're about. Either way, you can look at it and just question either one, and you'll get relief. Once you get relief, it begets more relief. More gets revealed, and immunity builds. Yeah. So maybe there's 30 things that used to hook you, then there'll be 28 things that used to hook you, and then 25, and then you'll have a whole stretch where only 2 things hook you. Then there'll be periods where nothing hooks you, and then they'll try to sneak in the back door and try to hook you again, and so on and so forth. And the immunity will build. Yeah. And then what happens if you're not navigated by thought? Find out. That's the beautiful thing of life. You can't know. You're going to find out what it's like not to be navigated by thoughts. Yeah. Yeah.
I have a question exactly the opposite what the lady asked for. If you're absorbed by the thoughts about the future.
Yeah. But that's the exact same, actually.
Yeah,
they're
but in
the same.
terms of you're thinking about the future, let's say possibilities or situations or whatnot, and basically based on your previous experience in the past,
Yes.
so then you're sort of kind of planning and analyzing the future.
Yes.
Positioning yourself in the future, but based on the experience in the past.
Yes.
How to handle these situations?
Same. Just look at the first thought, thinker. Yeah? Every thought is matched with one thought, which is I'm the thinker. Why go through the 800 links of the chain when you found the lock? The lock is the thinker point. Yeah? Question there. Don't worry about the thoughts or the quality of all the other thoughts. They're being given meaning from the thinker part. Yeah? The thinker is distributing the meaning, not the thoughts. The thoughts are like a vehicle. They're getting loaded through the bridge of being the thinker. Look at the thinker. Yeah? Just look at the thinker and ask yourself a simple question. Am I the thinker? Are these thoughts truly about me? Or are they about a thought? Yeah? Or a body? Because what they're picturing you is as a body in the future. Yes? Yeah. Just entertain it. You'll see. And more gets revealed, and you get your own flavor on how things work for you. But you'll really know it by the relief from it. Yeah? You'll get relief maybe a day, and you go, aha, that's the real. Honor that. Build a little mobile temple right there and then. Stop and pause and honor. I've had a break. You know what I mean? Because it's the mind and mind alone. The mind and mind alone is the freedom from the prison and the builder of the prison. It's the same saying. They help mind. Mind does it, not the thoughts. The thoughts are the vehicle. The thoughts allow the mind injects meaning into the thought, yeah? And then the thought, it opens up, and then the meaning springs out like a piñata that you hit with the conscious contact, but the mind has distributed a meaning to it, and that what you're getting is a projection of mind, yes? So we're questioning if the mind is doing that, yeah? If the mind is doing that, and one of the thoughts the mind is doing is the thought of being the thinker, yeah? And the only one that has a sense of subjectivity is the thinker, go there. All the other thoughts are looked on as objects, but the thinker is the subjective thought, that I'm the thinker. That's where the freedom is. Yeah? I had the greatest demonstration because I listened to all these people who suffer from alcoholism, all these different hosts that were sitting with the same parasite, and all they did was share what it was like to live under that parasite, and I got it. And I realized it's a foreign installment. Yeah? All these things that I was calling my feelings weren't my feelings. They were being generated and interpreted by alcoholism. Yeah? In other words, my life was being seen through a very small prism called alcoholism, and I was taking it to be me. Oh, fucking incredible. And then that just led to see that the prior to that is the original dis-ease, which is the mind's addiction to being a self. And all the obsession about you is just to reinforce the identification as that you're obsessed about. All the thoughts about you aren't truly about you. They're about reinforcing the identification as a you. Yeah. That's why you have 70,000 thoughts. I paint houses, right? It doesn't take me 70,000 thoughts to do a paint job. I walk in, I'm never surprised, there's usually 4 walls and a ceiling, a couple of windows and trim. I maybe need 15 thoughts, and maybe a few thoughts to go to lunch and what to eat. What are the 69,980 other thoughts doing? They're reinforcing the idea that I'm a self. Because why? What do they value? The past and the future. Self has to be remembered. How can you remember something that isn't here now? Well, you remember that it was here once and it will be here. Yeah? That's how you remember it now. It can't be experienced now. It can't be sensed now. The sense of it has to be produced by remembering it. So the mind remembers it, and then it produces a sense of being that self now, but that sense isn't coming from now. It's coming from there and then. That's why there's a solution. The now can override that preoccupation. If you're here, you have immunity to there and then. And I'm saying you cannot not be here. You don't have the power not to be here. The mind says it does. Says, I haven't been here all day. Yes, you have. If you looked at the surveillance cameras, when you're calling you have been here, you're on the film all day. Oh, I was really spaced out Saturday. No, you were there, believing you were spaced out. You cannot leave a moment that you're in. It's impossible. Without you, there ain't no moment. This is what it builds. It builds insane assumptions to verify I was there, I will be there, therefore I am here. It can't say, therefore I am here, from evidence. It has to go, I was and I will be. And that's its evidence. Yeah? So it has to forget the now and make there and then more important. Check the value system and the thought system. Check it. Feel where the value lies. You'll see it. Follow the money. It has a job. Not to promote happiness, goodness, and freedom. It's to promote a sense of self.
When you're at work, are you able to only think about work?
There's nothing to think about. Work painting is one of the least thought about things. You know? I'm usually zoning out. I'm usually listening to music. I'm not going, all right, there's, the theory of relativity concerning paint, yes. No, usually use a lot of music and hanging out. Yeah, no, I don't think about it at all. When I leave it, I never think about painting. No. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wondered, did you have a teacher to take you to this, to even be able to understand what you're talking about? Because I know, lots of people check out AA meetings and they don't talk like you.
Well, I had a lot of people. I got introduced to this idea.
Yeah.
You want to know a little history? All right. First, I got introduced to Course in Miracles a long time ago. Long time ago. Of course, I had a very, the understanding is always a work in progress, but there was some parts that were pretty good, hit me. And then in that time period, I heard that this message, this quote-unquote non-duality message, right, from a woman named Neelam. She was from Eastern Europe. I think she's still doing stuff in Colorado, but you couldn't even hear her, and she'd be talking in a park in Berkeley, and I didn't even need to hear her. It was just the possibility I was, picking up. And then I saw some other people. I went to India, listened to some people speak there. I read a couple of books, and I would entertain the possibility that was being offered. And I remember when I was reading, or somebody would say something, I had a lot of pauses, yeah? where the thought system, the selfing would be frozen. You know, the statement was so a whole different way of logic, yeah? That it would freeze my mind, and in that moment, the original face was there, what I truly am, you know, that space. And then I did that for a little while, and the emphasis of my mind shifted to a point where things that I was hoping would become clear were clear, and are clear to this day, yeah? Because it's not an event, it's a possibility that's always available at all times, yes? And that's all. Just start entertaining it, and then I was doing workshops in AA, and it morphed into this. Then we set up a website, and then people like these poor people in Toronto called me up and asked me to come 4 years ago, and then I've been coming here and places. You know, a lot of people go on a circuit like to Hawaii and stuff like that. I go to Staten Island, the Bronx, New Jersey. You know what I mean? I go with like Sopranos meet Eckhart Tolle. You know? That's my audience. Yeah, it's street level shit a lot of times. And then we've just been doing this for 4 years. You know, with.
So you can get there without a specific teacher?
No, to me, I don't see any, the only thing you can teach is about what you're not, yeah? You can't teach about what you are. To me, they're all inviters, yeah? They're inviting you, but what does the job is the mind, yeah? There isn't a message to get. The message triggers the mind to entertain a possibility. That's all it does. It's sort of like a catalyst. You ever have those, when they have a nutritious thing, but the body doesn't, you know, that's how a lot of other stuff happens to us, is through repetition. So we're using what some people could say as a poison, as an antidote. That's why you have these meetings, to have the message repeated, so that the mind, you know, it'll be in a different state at a different time, and it could be at that right moment where it really sinks in, there's an unspoken yes or an aha, and it's a done deal, basically. Yeah, something happens, and now the rest of your life is a lightening up. Yeah. Yes. There's only an allotment of 3 questions per person.
Okay. The last one or what?
Yes. Soup Nazi, you've had enough. No more questions. I've been on this 5 days, honey. I'm tired. It looks easy, but it isn't. You know? I gotta go to New Jersey tomorrow. Philadelphia. Yes.
Okay, so I'm just curious to hear your opinion. Having like the whole evolution of your thoughts, is it possible to achieve all the time?
No, I don't, you know. This is the depths of the truth, right? The way it is right now. We're swimming in the depths of the ocean. This is exactly how mind wants it to be right now. Yeah. And whatever's happening here, whatever ever did seem to happen and whatever's going to happen, doesn't affect the sky of mind one iota. It's not going to leave any marks on it. What you are, your mind is pristine in its and of its raw nature, and whatever has come to pass in these times and will come to pass, hasn't, will never leave an impression on it. Just like in the sky, you can have explosions. Do they rip the sky open? No. Yeah? When it rains, does the sky get wet? No. When a bird takes a shit, does it hit the sky? No, it lands on your car, right? The sky is open. It allows everything to happen in it, but nothing that happens in it affects it. That's what a mind is truly like. What we're dealing with is a mental process that's gone wild. It's a mental process. It's not mind. It's produced by the brain. What's fueling it is mind, but the brain's production, right, has warped it and turned it into, instead of seeing life as happening, it sees life as happening to me. It's an incredible difference. Life is happening is so different than life is happening to me. Unbelievable. This is freaking just so, it's like an avalanche on you all day. You know, if something happens really good, you're afraid it won't stay. Yeah? Happens bad, it's going to stay forever. Have you ever noticed that? You're having a good time, the feeling is it's going to be gone. You're having a bad day, it's going to last forever. You have to see the biasness of what's interpreting your life. Do you want to live by that bias? Do you think a snake is going to change its characteristics, even if you feed it and treat it and buy it nice clothes? It's still going to bite you inevitably, because its nature is snake. This is a parasitical nature. It has no life. It claims yours. It takes what living is available and turns it into a mental interpretation. And then it returns it to you and bitches about it. And says you should be feeling great all the time. No, you shouldn't. Under that, you're lucky you're even fucking on your feet. You should be exhausted by the takeover and all the heavy meaning we've been giving everything all day. Jesus Christ. Yeah.
I feel like I have 100 questions. I'm not even sure if I can explain, if I can articulate them. But I mean,
You're not going to get a chance. So forget about that. One.
I guess the first question that comes to mind is like, you know, I think about the future a lot, and I feel like I'm doing well in my life. Like I feel like I'm relatively successful because of the fact that I've been, you know, always so focused on the future. So for me to kind of accept some of what you're saying, it's almost like I have to abandon
No, you
something
don't.
which I feel like has gotten me.
No, you don't. You can plan for the future, but you're not the planner. That's all it is. It's not changing the thoughts, it's changing the thinker. Yeah? The thought system is thinking about the future, probably very logically and practical in your life. It's working, that aspect. But what causes it to have too much, like an extreme amount of meaning, is the thinker of it. Yeah? The thinker, that's all we're dealing with. We're not saying stop the thoughts or anything bad about thoughts. It's just the thinker lends a crazy system of mind and interpretation to download into your life. That's how it enters. Through the subjectifying one thought as being the thinker. Yeah? It allows this whole system of thought to download in your life. I don't like it, to tell you the truth. It wasn't satisfying for me. Yeah? I felt uncomfortable in my skin. I couldn't respond to unconditional love. People would say, Paul, you used to live on the edge, you were shooting, getting shot at and shooting up. No, know what living on the edge is being loved unconditionally. That would flip me out because of my beliefs about myself that I didn't deserve it. I'd do anything to get out of room of that. Yeah? This thing would interrupt so much of my life. It would take whatever's going on and veer it into something that it's all about me. It's not the thoughts, it's the thinker. It's not the feelings, it's the feeler. It's not the feelings I want to feel always great, it's the feeler that wants to have all the feelings feel great. That's where the bondage of self is. Yeah? If you're thinking about the future's works, far out. You have a workable, functioning system. Yeah? But the psychological aspect of behind that is driving you fucking crazy. Yeah.
Time.
Done in by it
There's a
sooner
lot
or
of things
later.
that work.
That's the position being the doer puts you in. Whatever you're doing, will you be done in by. If you're doing that you're a saint, you'll be done in by that. You'll probably have perversions and shit like that will start expressing that. You'll be living your life to save your face instead of your ass. This is about like a spiritual anatomy class. Let's see what your ass is. When I came into recovery, they told me, you gotta be willing to save your ass instead of your face. But I thought my face was my ass. That was the dilemma. The image I had of my head, of me, I was trying to save, and I was dying. I was fucking dead, saving this fucking thing. Yeah, that's called living a life for the parasite. And watching the hostess die and still aligned with the parasite that's killing it. I needed a divine intervention. A download occurred. I needed a power greater than that self, that idea of self, to come in. Because the only thing something that's addicted to power respects is other power. The parasite doesn't respect fucking nobility, doesn't respect spirituality, doesn't respect that you authentically want something to be better. It'll co-opt everything. Every message that's been beautiful in this world has been co-opted on some level, yeah? By the mind that's entertained it. But this is a power greater than it, and it stops it in its tracks. And you start building an immunity to that, yeah? So that future that's working for you, you'll be able to enjoy it. Yeah. You're not going to acquire their certainty. You have to find it in and of yourself. You have to own it. Yes? So find out. Entertain if I'm not the thinker and I'm not the doer. Who is it anyway? Very nice question. Let it entertain it. Let it roll around in there. See what comes up. Yeah? See what comes up. And then it'll produce you'll have like an unspoken yes, and then that unspoken yes and then the convincing can grow around it, and you'll have a fucking stable basis of traveling later. Yes, not dependent on outside circumstances, situations, people, books, things like that. You'll be right where you are at all times because you'll be there. And that's the only thing that's worth its salt. You need to have that reliability wherever you are, in whatever circumstance. You can't keep going to contrived circumstances. They can help you and support you, but you can't live in them all day. Yeah? I can run a beautiful program from my bedroom, but it's in life that I participate in it. Yeah? Yes, back there.
I'll just before this last question, it's time, so if you want to just take this one last.
Yeah, for sure.
You use the term self a lot. You didn't use the word ego.
No, I don't. Self, because for me it's a sense. Ego is sort of a mental activity that you think you have, yes? But the sense of self you don't think you have, you think you are. It's a much different beast. A lot of people think they have an ego, but the sense of self, they take that sense to be them. That's really where the bonding really is, in my view. It's a sense, it's a thought wrapped with a feeling. It's much different. I don't care about the ego, it's just a mental representation. What I care about is the identification with its true intent, which is this idea of being a self. It couldn't convince you with just a thought, it has to produce a feeling, yeah? Which is reinforced by the thought system. That's why it says sense of self, it doesn't say thought of self, it says sense of self. So you sense it. Every time there's an action, you sense that you're the doer. It's just a habit now, yeah? Every time a thought's seen, there's a sense that you're the thinker. Every time a feeling moves through the apparatus, there's a sense I'm the feeler of it. That's being produced by the identification as a self, which is a verb. There's no self called a noun, self, that you're identified as. The identification as a self is the whole verb. There is no self. There is no noun. The identification as a self is a mental process that produces the feeling that the mind takes to mean that it's a noun. That's exactly what it is. That's the bonding of self. The mind becomes bonded to the idea of a self, of being a self. A body, having a body, being a body, in a body, somehow. Yes, this is it. That thing is a very unusual bonding, so the glue has to be applied a lot all day. That's the thought system. The daily narrative is bonding your mind, the mind, to the idea of being a self. That's what it's doing. How does it do it? It remembers it. That's why it values the past and the future so much, because it uses both those places that are made up to remember what's made up, which is you. And when you remember you here, you forget what you are, because you can't entertain both at the same time. Yeah? You can't. Because what you are is truly presence, is the presence, and that will show the inherent absence of self. So the self is about denying that presence so that it seems to be present. Yeah? If they meet, one is seen not to be so. And I'm telling you, the meeting is always taking place. But it's not taking place this way, it's taking place on a different level. You're not seeing it. Yeah? Each moment there's a vertical insertion of what's actually happening in this horizontal story of me as an action figure living from the past into this present, into this future. We're not looking up. We're looking this way. We're being remembered, and then we're getting located here. Every moment there's a vertical insertion of what's actually so. Yeah, through the conscious contact. We're not noticing it because the way we're looking isn't built to see. We're looking for, and what are we truly looking for? Ourselves, remembering, forgetting, remembering, forgetting. That's why St. Francis says it's in self-forgetting that you wake up. That's why Dogen said, The study of Buddhism is the study of the self. The study of self is to forget the self. Why would you want to forget the self? Because it can only be remembered. If you would stop remembering it, it wouldn't seem to be so, because it ain't. Yeah? It's such a beautiful... So, in a sense, this is inherently absent. It's an appearance, yes? Just like if I'm going to do this for 5 more minutes, right? I'm into this right now. Let's say here's this chair. So, you see the chair? Yes? Let's say a lot of, this is a very specific, like this, it's fast, really fast, yeah? It's incredible. Unbelievable, really. It's like the greatest magical trick. It's here, and I go, oop, see, look at how fast, it's like that. How did it fill up so quickly? It was like, there's no space there. Oh, yeah, there is. Yeah? So obviously, I'm appearing in space. This is an appearance in space, isn't it? What I'm saying is, we're the space that what we're taking ourselves to be is appearing in. We are this. Yeah? This is a projection of this. The mind wants us, the mental process wants us to take ourselves to be this projection. To do that, it has to forget this. How does it forget this? By constantly remembering this. By thinking about this in the past and this in the future. And that's that. Yes. So,